A warm and hello welcome from CXOTV.news, a flagship brand under Techplus Media Group. I am Anand Sharma from Techplus Media, your host for today's event. We have been running this webinar series titled Marketing Mondays for over a year now to provide a platform to marketeers to learn from fellow marketing gurus. We all make choices in our everyday life, but business choices have an impact on the wider organization. And when the choice is market facing, the dilemma needs to be addressed with more prudence and care. Well, the topic for today's discussion is the marketer's dilemma. Generally, when I was scanning, the marketing challenges or dilemmas are categorized as generating traffic and leads, providing ROI for your marketing activities, securing enough budget, managing your website, targeting content for an audience, targeted audience, training your team, hiring top talent, and delivering an ABM strategy. In case you want us to cover any other pointer or have a question, please mention that in the Q&A section or chat panel. We have an eminent panel today. I'll request them to do a self-introduction. We have Jigyasa Kishore from Moglix. Jigyasa, why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. Anand, thanks for having me in this Monday marketing webinar. So I represent Moglix here. I lead the strategy for brand growth and excellence within Moglix, which spans across not just PR marketing, but also transformation as a service and internal excellence around process excellence. So that's the expanse of my portfolio within Moglix. I have close to 18 years of experience in which is a healthy mix of marketing and enterprise technology, which spans across, product building, deploying, and doing a market fit and, go to market and all of that. So happy to be here.
Thank you so much and welcome once again, Jigyasa. Preetham, do you want to introduce yourself? We have got Mr. Preetham Uthaiah from Saankhya Labs.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks Anand and Techplus Media for having me here. I'm excited to share my thoughts on the topic that we have chosen today. I am Preetham Uthaiah. I am Executive Vice President of Marketing and Strategy for Saankhya Labs. I have been in the industry for over 2 decades, doing everything from engineering to market development to sales to marketing as well. So I hope to bring that into this discussion today.
Thank you, Preetham, and welcome once again. Shreya, going by the alphabetical order, please introduce yourself. We have got Shreya Bagaria from LogiNext.
Thank you, Anand, for having all of us here. And really excited to talk about this topic. Marketing dilemma is really intriguing topic, to discuss. So I actually head marketing at LogiNext, and I've been part of top 3 SaaS companies, Indian SaaS companies, one of which has recently become a unicorn. So I've spent all my career being a SaaS marketer, and the strategies that I've been able to come up with have helped the companies that I've worked with gain millions of dollars in MRR across Southeast Asia, ANZ, US, India, across the world basically. LogiNext is a transportation automation platform. So basically, it helps traditional companies like UPS, McDonald's, Domino's to actually compete with the new age technologies like Amazon in last mile deliveries. So we're doing something revolutionary with them, and I'm hoping to share some of the marketing dilemmas that we face, within our team.
Thank you so much, Shreya, and welcome on board. So friends, as a marketer, you must be faced with dilemma and challenges on a daily basis. And your decision or course of action decides not only your, but the overall campaign success and affecting company success as well. There may be several times that you encounter whether to have your own website or focus on social media, to do email marketing or not, to do retargeting or not, to outsource lead gen or do in-house? Should we go for conventional versus digital or content versus others? You should go for pull marketing versus push marketing, branding versus lead gen, PR versus Copcom. Oh my God, the list is endless. And yes, my favorite, left brain versus right brain. And on top of all this, how much and which one? The list is endless, yes. Well, let's learn from what our panelists have to recommend today. The views expressed by the speaker are their own and may not represent the viewpoint of the organizations they work with. So let's start with Jigyasa. Jigyasa, what is the biggest marketing dilemma you have faced in the recent past? And what was your choice? And if you can also share the outcome of it.
Yeah, sure. So no, that question was very interesting when I saw it, Anand. And in the recent past, I think the biggest dilemma has been around how to, use the budget effectively, given that everybody has been in some way or the other affected by the pandemic. And not just that, I think the second biggest question that we were faced with was what should be the way to convey your narrative and your story. So I'll talk about the first dilemma, which is the budget. So obviously, it was no more offline versus digital, because digital was the prima facie option that everybody had. That, but within digital, whether you should go with the TV and broadcast, or you should do OTT, or you should do YouTube, where should you put the bang, and where is the bang for the buck, was the big question. What we did was we did a small experiment where we came up with we launched our advertisement under the flagship of Moglix Henna kind of a tagline. And we introduced it on the YouTube and some of the OTT media. And of course, when we were facing this dilemma between the TV and this, we realized that during the pandemic, more so, the media consumption pattern has accelerated towards the video on demand kind of, where people have gravitated more for the lack of entertainment, for the lack of stepping out of the house. People just want to see what they want to see. So they are not really, stuck. News has become so much negative. I mean, while it just does convey what's happening, but you can only listen to number of deaths and number of problems till so much time. So we came up with the strategy that we will consciously invest more money on the OTTs and on the YouTube to launch this video ad that we had in 3 series. Now, what happened was that we were able to not only gain huge amount of traction with very little budget. I mean, I can tell you that the bang for the buck was sometimes even 10 paisa. It came down to that much, and we had 7 million plus views and tractions within a few weeks. So that was a huge experiment that came out to be very successful, and we learned a lesson on how to sort of put the budget in the right direction for us. The second, I think, biggest dilemma, and I would say dilemma in the sense that this is a time, and especially not just second wave, but even first wave was a time where nobody wants to see a on the face advertising where you're just trying to sell them something. It's very important that you become a brand with a purpose. And unless you have that messaging out clear, so for example, in the first round, we were busy, distributing PPE kit. Of course, we were selling it, but we were selling it to the global companies. We were procuring at great pain, and our supply chain folks were out in the field when everyone else was inside. And we thought that story needs to be told. In the second wave, we were like crazy. We had left all the activities and we were trying to procure oxygen concentrator. Rahul was putting out a model on how to, get a multiplier effect of oxygen concentrator so that maximum people can benefit. And we thought that just by putting out some of these stories of what we are doing and how we care, without again, making it overbearing about a tom-tom story about our philanthropy, or making it too much of on your face, please buy oxygen concentrator from us kind of story, somewhere striking that balance where we were with people and for people, and we were realizing. So those things, I think, really sort of helped us in putting out a good narrative, and we were able to solve for that dilemma through, and we came across this dilemma, and we were able to sail through it, wherein we came to the conclusion that being brand with a purpose is more important than ever. It was always important. I'm not saying it was not important, but now in the current world situation, being brand with a purpose is more important than ever. And the transition that was happening, has accelerated to a point where YouTube, OTT, etc. has become a very important medium that one should focus on. So those are the two things that I would like to mention.
Thank you so much. That resonated with thoughts which I have as well. So moving on to my next question, Preetham, what is your take on that? How do you see that evolving?
Yeah, I think good points that Jigyasa made. A classical marketer's dilemma is budget versus ROI, right? So that is definitely a case, and in the dynamically changing environment like today, most of our traditional marketing messaging as well as the medium needs to be relooked at all the time, right? So that is the biggest dilemma we had. How do we distribute our budget into the ever growing choices that we get on the social media marketing, digital marketing, as well as physical marketing? Saankhya Labs is into very high-tech, product development and sales across the globe. We make 5G equipments, for the operators around the world. So from that point of view, we have a very focused customer base, mostly operators around the world. We also have some governments in India and other parts. So our choices of digital media are normally very limited from that point of view, because we don't normally go with the traditional digital media to do marketing as much as other companies would do. So we had to, and we all this while Saankhya Labs or companies like ours, we are OEM for telecom equipments. We rely heavily on live events, right? Live events is where we generate maximum brand value as well as lead. Because we conduct workshops. For example, Mobile World Congress is one of the biggest events for us throughout the year, and we spend a lot of money on the marketing budget side to get our brand awareness for the global operator ecosystem, as well as for general public also, right? So with India Mobile Congress or Mobile World Congress and all these kind of events getting completely off the table, we had to we attempted to participate in the virtual avatar of the same events, right? And we realized that it's not actually generating enough leads, mainly because people are not really used to that kind of an environment, setting up a virtual booth and expecting people to come into your booth and have an interaction that would normally happen in a Mobile World Congress kind of an event, right? On top of it, what happens is these are not just the marketing events where you are just putting your brand out there. It also is a platform to share your thoughts. These are very deep technical discussions that happen before these kind of products are bought by the operators, right? So it needs a long discussion and touch points with the customer to be really able to effectively use these mediums. So we had to find a new way, and we in fact we started doing a lot of webinars, white papers, because at the end of the day, our kind of products need a lot of content to be generated for the user to be able to make that decision, right? These are complex and, like I said, 5G kind of products. So webinars and white papers in a very specific popular mediums in the US, for example, Pierce Wireless or Light Reading or this kind of medium, gave us a lot of traction. I think that's we turned around towards the end of last year. That lot of traction was generated, more than what we expected. In a way, it worked out well, because I think it generated more leads than otherwise was possible. So going to a very customer centric targeted digital medium was our key, actually, if I would to solve the dilemma that we were having, right? The other one, quickly, just to expand on what Jigyasa said, during this pandemic, the other challenge we had was not to oversell our product, but it's a very operational intensive kind of a work that we do. A lot of R&D goes into this product. So during this time, lead generation is not necessarily our biggest worry, because we are already, our manufacturing and R&D is almost coming to a standstill, or in many cases it is slower. So brand building was the key for us, right? So how do you really address brand building and make sure that during this time we don't drop the ball, continue to be in front of the customer and be able to be in front of them when the need arises, was the key. And that is also solved by that channel that I mentioned earlier. So these are the two things that I can think of right now.
Very interesting, Preetham. So you actually moved from virtual events to white papers, right?
Virtual events to virtual workshops, I would say, white papers and webinars, right? So those are the key two key ones that we do a lot of times. Yeah.
Sure. Quite interesting. Yeah. Thank you so much, Preetham. Shreya, do you have a story to share on this? The biggest marketing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So in fact, recently I was faced with a marketing dilemma, and I was the good part of that is that I was able to resolve it. So, before talking about dilemmas, I would like to say is that a good marketer doesn't stay in the marketing dilemma, but actually works towards resolving it. So, like, as Preetham and Jigyasa shared, that they didn't stay in that marketing dilemma for too long, that leads are not coming or people are not getting engaged. They work towards resolving it, and that's the right path to take. So just talking about the marketing dilemma that I faced recently is that when we were just kind of reporting annually for our last year's marketing efforts, we saw that one of our top customers in Europe had actually come from a marketing channel that was not even one of our top marketing channels, and we had attributed that customer. That customer is basically the holding company for Burger King, Pizza Hut, Starbucks in Europe. So big customer, and we had attributed the deal of that customer to this specific marketing channel, SourceForge, which is listing website. And we started to think that we are not investing in this, and we got such a big customer from here. So we started having this dilemma that, like, okay, are we really working in the right direction? Then we kind of took a step back, and we realized that just the last inflection point wherein the contact gets created on your CRM is just not the right way of kind of thinking about attributing contact creation perfectly. So we traced it back, and then we saw which were the different interactions that contact had. So whether it was a social media interaction, whether it was a Google display ad, whether it was a case study that they read. And then we were able to comprehensively understand the entire end-to-end, contact life, like subscriber life cycle before it actually became an MQL. So I guess this is a dilemma that lots of marketers face, that how do we rightly attribute a contact to the right kind of streams? And obviously then you basically focus and optimize the streams which have really worked for you, right? And what I would like to say is that we were able to do this so efficiently and so quickly, and we were able to find all of this data, backtrack all of this data, because from the beginning itself, we had good technology in place. So whether you are a technology company or not a technology company, it is really important to focus on having technology in your marketing team, right? So every team has to be a MarTech team, is what I would like to say. So back in 2017, when we were just getting a few dozen leads each week, that was the time we actually implemented HubSpot, which is our CRM. And definitely we did evaluate a lot of other CRMs in the market, including Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho, came a close second. And but then actually we ended up going with HubSpot, and I'm extremely happy that we did that, because with having just handful of customers back in 2016 2017 to having more than 200 enterprise customers now, HubSpot has scaled with us and helped us scale as well. So maybe at that point of time, I would say that contact attribution or lead attribution is not a necessity. But at this point of time, where I see this as a necessity and I had that tech in place, so it was so easy for me to really just go back. So if you're like, starting out a marketing team, do not hesitate in investing a good technology first. Having technology from the beginning will make sure that you do not lose out on any information that cannot be captured in an Excel or cannot be, captured in your mind, right? And not only having a good technology in place, we also complemented that by having a good first marketing hire in place, right? So that actually worked out great for us. So our first marketing hire was like a generalist profile. And obviously now after our Series B, our marketing team is much bigger. We have, content specialists, digital specialists, and, it's a much larger team. But just having that technology plus right marketer, the first right technology and first right marketer can really help you be a very sustainable, scalable company marketing team in the future. So I would say that this is how we actually resolved our marketing dilemma recently.
Okay, no, couple of points you touched, Shreya, and thank you for that. Interesting. Jigyasa, coming back to you, have you ever faced a dilemma among your KRAs, say branding versus growth, which is lead gen, and how have you addressed them?
Yeah, so when I was looking at that question, I was really trying to understand that, what dilemma are you talking about? And then, we discussed a little bit internally and we said, okay, so it is about brand awareness versus lead gen and such dilemma between the KRAs that we have. Interestingly, if you look at Moglix as a brand, and I'm not going to talk from the very generic standpoint, I'll talk specifically about how we sort of think about it, the context we think. We have Moglix.com, which is the part of the brand which actually does B2B sales in a very e-commerce kind of a way. These are industrial goods for distribution to the tier 2, tier 3 cities, to the SME. And then we have this whole enterprise business, which is fairly large, and there the sales mechanism and marketing mechanism is very different. So interestingly, we have mix of both. While we cannot shy away from performance marketing when it comes to e-commerce, which is very, very much targeted on the click-throughs and conversions and all of that, one thing we have realized is that building a good brand persona really, really helps you in diversifying, in going a long way with your customer. And this is how the market operates these days. Everybody is looking for a coherent story. There is a community that you build around your brand where people believe in you, and more so not just in B2C or B2B. I think there's some semblance in both the brands. So if you take example of Paperboat, I mean, how interesting the marketing around, the old stories or nostalgia, bringing it to life, and people sort of recognizing with Tata as a brand. Like today they can do anything. They can launch right from Salt to Tata Click, which is an e-commerce company, but everything sells because they have a persona of trust that they have built through brand awareness. So in our case, in that dilemma, while performance marketing, if you keep aside, definitely brand awareness has come out as a winner. And like long time back, I read a book, it's a really interesting book, which said PR is the new advertising. It was a book by Paul Rees and his daughter. And now as a practitioner, I understand the importance of that book, that sometimes when what you do becomes a story that everyone else is talking about, if your brand awareness has reached that level, then that is the best kind of advertising you can get, and the best lead gen comes out of such advertising. So definitely there's always a dilemma. It's not like we go and do an event and just for brand awareness and our CEO won't question case event mein kitne CXO se aap mile the, or what is the kind of leads you're getting back to us. But now we are very conscious of also the fact, like, I keep repeating that, are we a brand with a purpose? Are we doing the right thing? Are we reaching out to the right people?
I'll interrupt you, Jigyasa. Why I ask this question? Because branding is generally looked as a long shot, wherein it's a you plan for a longer time period, right? Wherein uh, uh, you need to look after a gun for leads, and also because that's where the revenue comes from, right? And that's a short term. So how do you trade off, or how do you balance between the two?
Yeah. So, like I said, there are certain areas where, say, a hard bang for the buck cannot be replaced at all, in terms of performance marketing, or, the Google ads and the ad spend there and all of that. But in the B2B scenario, where we have to invest for brand awareness, we do that, and we do that consciously. And by the way, I think in today's world, it's not really a long-term return. The returns
Sure.
have also become short-term. So we balance the trade-off in that sense, wherein we see that how much budget we are allocating to the performance and what ROI we are getting, and brand also, how much budget we are allocating and what are we getting in return. So I would say, that without confusing the matter, I would say that if you're very clear about your objective that you want to achieve out of these, then it becomes very easy to allocate your marketing budget, and one cannot be compromised for the other, because even your leads, and not every industry works that way. So and Shreya would agree that there are certain SaaS industries where it's about click and download and start using, is a very different way of working versus an enterprise software where you have to go and do integration and have relationships, engagement management and everything. So the two things cannot be, according to me, traded off, really. There is no trade-off between the two. You just have to say how much budget you want to allocate to which one, and the timing.
Sure.
So in
Makes
conclusion,
sense.
that's what, yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you so much, Jigyasa. Okay. Moving on, Preetham, I mentioned that I'll come back to you on this. What's the strategy you employ when you have to choose between two, or let's say multiple options?
Yeah, I think Jigyasa touched upon some good points. See, the two cannot be separated out very easily, right? Especially companies like ours, where, like I said earlier, thought leadership and the brand image also determines which operator or who is the big customer that will work with us, because we do not really uh, depend on click and download or these kind of things. Like she said about the enterprise software, our products are really physical products, base stations that go into the towers of the radio or the mobile operators. They have to touch, feel it, get to know it. They will have to do 3 months of field trials before they can actually buy it, right? So for us, brand building is includes many things, right? Which is not only just creating image of thought leadership so that people understand the kind of deep technology that we work on. Secondly, we also do a lot of business with government and even on the mobile operator side. There are a lot of policy matters that determine whether we are able to do business in that particular market or not. So for us, brand building includes influencing the policy making. Brand building includes attracting the right talent, because these are very hard to get talents that we have in our company, right? So that includes that. And obviously, when we look at the growth part of it, the lead generation is very specific, right? Then we go to the light readings or the fierce wireless webinars that I mentioned about. But generally, like Jigyasa mentioned, PR plays a very big role in maintaining this brand image, and then on top of it, you layer lead generation activity. That is what gives us business, because our conversion cycles are pretty long, and we don't really go for anything that is quick a result which never works, right? For us, it needs a sustained effort to bring this brand to the forefront of their mind, and also keep it that way. and also demonstrate that we are actually in front of the technology all the time. That's the challenge we always have. How do you show that while 5G has not yet come to India, we are already working on 6G, for example, right? So that for us is brand building, that we do a lot of these innovative events or workshops. That's why I said a lot of our marketing used to be physical and 50 people sitting in a room and discussing a lot of things, and that is where people know us. We involve ourselves a lot in standardization process. For example, for 6G, if you don't start the standardization today, you are not even there, because 5G standardization was done 8 years back, right? So we get into the standards bodies, we meet a lot of our customers, potential customers there. They see us as, okay, these are the leaders in this space, and that's why they want to work with us. So there are subtle branding exercises we do outside of PR and advertising and all these things, right? So there are multiple things that we have to do to keep our brand image intact, both from the customer point of view, as well as, like I said, policymakers. For example, spectrum plays a key role in our business, wireless communication. You need a lot of policies around the spectrum that we need to influence, and for that we do a lot of PR for targeted for the government and policymakers point of view as well, because that determines 2 years from now how much equipment I'll be selling, right? So yeah, for us it's a fine balance. We spend more time on time and budget, specifically in our industry or in our business. We spend more budget probably on the branding side and probably lesser, if you want to put a number to it, right, probably lesser on the lead gen side, because we will always get leads as soon as we have built our brand in the market. So our website itself is the biggest channel for us, and we do get a lot of leads through that. Once people read our white papers, or they have encountered in the standardization bodies, and they've seen us on a webinar, or they've come to us in a workshop, all these things play a big role in our kind of business.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Preetham. That's the ideal state wherein everybody wants to be in, to have pull marketing do a major play as compared to push marketing.
Yes.
Right. Coming back to my next question, Shreya, would you want to draw from any day-to-day, experience wherein there are conflicting demands, and how you manage them?
Yes, definitely. So I'm also faced, with this similar kind of challenge, whether branding is kind of more important or lead generation is more important. And being a very results-driven organization, and especially very results-driven marketing team, we've actually split the burden of branding and lead generation into two different teams, right? So I would say our marketing team actually is laser focused on lead generation. So whether it's social media, we're looking at increase in followers. If it's digital marketing, we're looking at leads. If it's events, we're looking at how many CXOs we met. It's laser focused there. And just giving us that laser focus, we are able to have apple to apples comparison of these channels. And we are able to say that, yes, definitely this is one channel which works for us, and this is a channel that does not kind of work for us. And then we are really quick to even retract from the channels which are not, working for us, right? Brand building is something, the level, that onus of brand building is one we have put it on our product. And I would say that our customers are biggest advocates of our brand. I would also say that our employees are biggest advocates of our employer brand. So that's how we have kind of, split the onus between marketing team and product team and, HR team in terms of branding and lead generation. And that really helps us be cost conscious marketing companies. So our marketing losses are very less. Everything is quantifiable. And that helps us move faster as well, because then we do not spend too much time in experimentation and thinking that, okay, this is probably working, like, because then we are certain that yes, this is working and this is not working. And I would say another kind of, I just mentioned it, that another day-to-day conflict that marketing teams specifically face is that what length of experimentation for any specific marketing channel one must do before thinking that, okay, this works for you or this doesn't work for you. So I would say that not only, pumping money in the high performing channels is necessary, but also kind of retracting from the low performing channels quickly is necessary so that, you are actually focusing on what gives you the return, right? So that's a dilemma that, or like that's a conflict basically that kind of we face every now and then. But since our key performance indicators are very specific, very defined, and it's related to lead generation, we are able to actually retract faster and reduce the losses on those channels as well. Another interesting story I'd like to tell you about my organization LogiNext here is that when we started out, we had like a massive footprint in India, right? We in 2017 we had customers like Myntra, Paytm, Raw Pressery, Mahindra Logistics, and many others. And when our product matured to a certain stage, when we understood that now this is ready to be sold in the international markets, we actually took it international. And that time we realized that if we want to continue doing sales in India and sales abroad, we'll have to have two different marketing strategies. So we'll have to have a sales strategy and marketing strategy for India, and a sales strategy and marketing strategy for international markets as well. And we realized that that would actually distract us from our focus. Like rather than being number two in both of the regions, we would like to be number one in one of the regions. And it was really difficult, but we were actually able to do that, that we retracted all our efforts of active marketing in India. I mean, obviously we do have a lot of customers still because of our inherent footprint and like our presence out here, but 90% of our revenue now comes from the international markets. And like we are a market leader in US, Europe, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and we've been successfully able to do that. So I would say that a marketer has to have laser focus of what target segment do you want, what KPIs do you want to track, and what is your positioning going to be. So you wouldn't be able to achieve all of it, or you would, if you are, then you won't be a market leader. So if you want to be a market leader, you have to make that trade-off. You have to let go some customers to get some other customers with whom you want to be there for their lifetime.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you. Jigyasa, coming back to you, we always know that marketing is extremely time critical unit. We are generally rushing against time, right? So how do you ensure excellence is maintained along with timelines? Because you manage excellence as well. So how much quality is acceptable quality, or what are the trade-offs?
That's a very good question, Anand. In fact, in our kind of scenario, especially that we still operate at day zero kind of a style, and we might be an adolescent, not really a startup anymore, but the demands are such that in the morning we'll say something and we need the pitch ready by evening. Or there have been times that we have gotten a website up and running in straight 2 days. I could not believe it can be done, but it was done. So there is one principle that I believe in today's context, that marketing quality should not be looked upon just as a quality of graphic or image. I think marketing quality to me is the narrative and the story that you put out there for people to consume, how much bang on that is. Everything else is hygiene, because today more than anything you can straight away with a click buy animations and images and everything. You don't have to really worry about creating it in house. How do I ensure quality with the timeliness? The team that we have today, and I'm sort of really happy about the fact that they do not just behave like a marketing team. They are deeply entrenched into the business context. So when you ask them to create a content, it needs minimum iterations. So unless and how does that happen? My marketing team sits with the directors and others when they are pitching to their client as a quiet listener. So it provides them increasingly the business context, and hence any content that they have to churn around, they have first-hand experience of. So I can easily say the guy or the girl who takes care of my MRO piece of marketing can single-handedly do a pitch for MRO. That's the kind of knowledge base that we have tried to build within the team. And the person who's responsible for SaaS marketing or the software products that we have, that person can single-handedly pitch that product, or create a lead gen campaign for that product with minimalistic review. So that has really helped us in turning around the quality. What is the trade-off? There is no trade-off. Anything that is less than the quality that is acceptable will not go out on social media or any media from Moglix side if it is not acceptable in terms of the parameters that we have set. Because any communication or any narrative or any story that goes out in the market which is less than optimum brings down your brand's image instantly, more instantly than you can imagine. One
Absolutely.
grammatical error, one spelling mistake, even those trivial things. I mean, forget about the narrative. Even those trivial things bring it down. And then how things go viral. If you are under the glare of people, sometimes your competitors will take a shot at you, and there's like multiple things that go on. So there is no trade-off with the quality. It's about lifting your team to realize that they are not just part of the marketing team, but they are actually part of the team which needs to put out narrative and how they will be comfortable. So if they're talking to a client, what will they be comfortable telling the client? At least that has helped me. I'm sure there are other very creative ways that Preetham and Shreya will be talking about, but that's the strategy that has helped us.
No, very nice. Thank you so much, Jigyasa. Preetham, coming to you, what should brands do or not do during these times?
Yeah, one of the things I think we covered a lot of it during this discussion. Uh, it was almost a habit of a lot of companies to do in the face kind of campaign during this time, COVID times, and leverage COVID as the main message for all their products and everything that they do, right? I think that has reached its life cycle, and I think people should be sensitive to the market or the consumer that they are targeting, and try to tell the story in rather to the value that the brands stand for, right? So find channels and content that will help build a better brand image, rather than just beat this current situation to to its even before it is ended. You are ending that in your own messaging. So that's something that I cringe when I get an overload of COVID related messaging, and that becomes really a problem for a marketer. I think it's just a copycat kind of messaging that is going on in most of the industries today. The other thing is that today customers have a lot of times, right? Because what has happened is they are not commuting to office, and they are spending a lot of time on their computers. Most of the buying decisions and most of the interactions with the vendor and the customer is happening online, and there is a lot of consumer or customer generated data that is available in the web now, whether take it in terms of the reviews that they put in your website or on the customer or your e-commerce website or anywhere. How do you leverage that effectively? What are your customers talking on a day-to-day basis in the social media or any other digital media that the marketer is using, is a critical piece of this feedback mechanism is missing in many of the marketing campaigns that I have seen, right? I've personally faced these kind of issues, even though there are hundreds of negative comments on a particular company. I would not name the company. There is absolutely no effort taken by the company, either in their messaging, that saying that, hey, I am addressing that, I stand for a certain way, that is not actually taken care of. I think that is also a critical piece to the point about time criticality that you mentioned, right? Unless you are able to address the customer feedback right there and right now in your marketing campaign, you are not doing and you are going on a cookie cutter approach of I have this set calendar and I'm going to follow this marketing campaign for the next 15 days. I think that dynamic allocation of your marketing bandwidth to get this feedback is also very critical in today's environment. uh, there are the touch points with the customer has increased many-fold, right? So you're always sitting here and thinking, which is my best channel to do marketing today, or tomorrow, or in the next few days. And it could change drastically because you have multitude of channels that are available now. Many tools are coming up. For example, when we talk about, hey, we are missing our live events and all these things, we are always constantly looking to see if there are good tools which use AR, VR kind of where we can actually show our product directly to the customer in a meeting or in a workshop, right? That kind of innovative lookout should always be there. I think that is when you'll be able to solve most of your dilemmas that you face in your marketing day-to-day operations. Quick feedback based marketing, always be lookout for the right tools that actually addresses your problem, and don't go by, okay, somebody is using Facebook and I will only use Facebook and I will only use YouTube. Don't get stuck by that. We have found that there are innovative ways to do the same thing. Like I said earlier, right, there are dedicated channels probably are reaching your customers because there are so many different ways the online interactions are happening in today's world. And you probably will get a cutting edge or edge over your competitors if you are able to reach that particular channel, right? That is something that I think every marketer should always keep looking. Don't go by the buzzwords all the time and then get stuck with your own marketing plan all the time. So that's something that I always look for, uh, and find new ways to market your product. Marketing is mostly a creative process, and you should find, how do I really send this message somehow, right? And that should be the attitude of the marketing person, in my view.
No, absolutely, very valid, Preetham, and thanks for sharing this. Uh, Shreya, what are the ethical dilemmas you have faced as a marketing lead?
Okay. So Anand, actually, I would ask that question to someone. Everyone would just, without thinking, say that, hey, I've never faced any ethical dilemma as a marketing lead. But I would say that, after my answer, everyone would start thinking about the ethical dilemmas that, they face within their marketing teams. So I would like to start out with this famous quote from a movie that was launched recently last year, that there are only two industries in the world which call their customers users. So one is the illegal drug industry and other is the software industry. Okay. So, I mean, this is basically because, illegal drug industry gets you hooked onto drugs by selling you drugs. Their marketing itself is the product. And similarly, I would say for software also, it's the same way, that, initially you get the person to kind of use your software for free, and then you get them hooked onto it, and then you kind of charge a premium price, right? So that's an ethical dilemma, in the sense that to acquire that customer, you are using the footprint that customer is leaving on your website or on your collateral, and then using that footprint, you are basically targeting him with ads, you are sending him customized notifications, emailers, and he's basically coming into your funnel. So it's definitely an ethical dilemma for all marketers, that to what extent you can use this information to kind of get this customer into your funnel. So it's a very fine line, and I wouldn't say that it's a wrong thing to do at all. Because as a marketer, if I don't have any insights about my customer, and if I'm sending him some irrelevant notifications, I'm sending him irrelevant emails, that customer is going to not have trust on my brand, right? They are not going to trust my brand because I trusted by not accessing their information, right? So they are only going to have trust in our brand if I am able to preempt what they are thinking. Just as another examples, typically from my sector, which is like the logistics tech sector. 5 years back, you had an option of getting something delivered at your home within 5 days, and you were more than happy that, okay, I got this in 5 days. And right now, are you willing to wait for 5 days? No, you're not. You want everything today. Your last mile delivery timelines have really shortened down. Like, you want it today, you want it tomorrow, same day delivery, 1 hour delivery. Those are the trends that we are talking about. So definitely, initially these trends were started out by marketers, marketing that, okay, you can get it in 1 day. These were services which were offered for free. And now same kind of, say, if you're ordering for the meal, from any of Zomato or Swiggy, you all know that the cost of delivery sometimes surpasses the cost of that item itself, right? And we are ready to pay that premium to get that item delivered to our house. Even if that shop is right below our house, we would rather tell Dunzo that please deliver it at my place, right? So this is like an ethical dilemma that we are using these strategies initially to get our user hooked on using a product, and then we are charging a premium for using that product when they are totally hooked and they are totally in the customer funnel. We know that they are not going to be able to get away from this. They have made this lifestyle change, and we are behind that. So that's one big ethical dilemma that we are all facing right now. Just one last, thought I'd like to leave you with here, that we're all hoping that, okay, we should get drone deliveries, right? So we want that we should just open our windows from the living room and a drone is having like some hot burgers ready to deliver. So do we realize that once this drone comes outside with the camera, it's going to be able to see everything which is going on in your living room? It's going to be able to see what preferences do you have? Do you have a preference for Indian seating? Do you have a preference for Scandinavian living room? Do you have how many people are there in your house? What kind of food is coming in your house? And they literally just 1 second, one look into your living room is going to give them so much data. So is it correct on that drone company to use that data, or would you opt out of drone deliveries altogether if they were capturing this data from you? So do you think that this ethical dilemma is really a dilemma, or this is just a lifestyle change that every customer will get used to eventually?
Absolutely. Very thought-provoking ideas you shared with us, Shreya. And you have made me thinking. Good. Thank you so much. Jigyasa, any parting thoughts you have you want to share with audience?
It was actually very interesting piece of information that Shreya sent. I think this dilemma has been there since the time we started using Google, where you would be thinking something and suddenly you'll start seeing the ads playing by your Gmail, and you would be like, "Oh my God, it was still in my brain, or did I type search?" No, it's interesting. I think the only thought I would like to leave everyone with is that, like every other function, last 2 years, the way the events have taken place in the world, it has changed us all forever. If someone says that they're untouched by what has happened, it's not possible. This has opened up a lot of opportunities, both for marketers and as business. So it has closed a lot of doors, but it has opened a lot of opportunities. I just wish that all of us stay optimistic and keep looking for these opportunities and try to maximize out of it. And as a marketer, again, try to establish a brand which is brand with a purpose. Everybody respects that. And at the same time, try to keep yourself relevant, be on top of what's going on and have the business context. Creative branding or creative marketing is not the only way of surviving. I think the larger survival comes from the fact that how deeply entrenched you are into what's happening around you and how you sort of capitalize on it and build your brand around it. So those are my parting thoughts. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Preetham, any last notes from your end?
No, I think interesting points. Thanks, Shreya and Jigyasa, sharing a lot of those points. We live in different worlds from the product point of view, and hence our marketing strategies and inputs vary. But it's always good to know different options that probably can be adopted from other industries as well, and that should be the goal, I think. And the important thing that I wanted to end with is, with pandemic and the changes in the behavior of the consumer and the organizations with remote working and all these things happening, the CMO's role has only increased, I think, right? Marketing's role has only increased, and it has become relevant again because a lot of companies had kind of changed the marketing role to do, almost sales kind of roles to market development to a lot of things. And I think CMO role is back again, mainly because it's all become remote. It's important to keep your brand and your product in front of the customer all the time, hence CMO plays an important role there. And between the marketing and the close of deal, the steps have reduced substantially now, right? So now it's almost like you are only one step away from closing a deal, so you are almost doing half the job that sales team is doing, right? So I think that has also created important point or important place for the marketing team in the organization. So I think that should be leveraged.
Thank you so much, Preetham. So, guys, we are almost on top of the hour. I was taking my notes diligently. Jigyasa did mention about how to effectively utilize the budget within digital and focus on purpose-based branding. And Preetham was mentioning that how they used to rely on heavily on live events in the past, and how they had to move to white paper as compared to virtual events. They moved to webinars and white papers. And Shreya did mention about laser focus on KPIs, and also mentioned about the two industries which refer their customers as users. One was software and there was one more. I am confident that you have enjoyed this enriching session as much as I did. Moreover, it's always beneficial to hear from the leaders directly. You can watch the past webinars on www.CXOTV.news. I thank each one of you for taking out time and attending this event, and wish you all the success during these challenging times. I especially thank Jigyasa, Preetham, and Shreya for giving their valuable feedback. Thanks once again for your esteemed presence, and wish you a great week ahead. Thank you.
For more updates from CXOTV, please like and subscribe to our channel.